point where we're up to here. But finally, we get to Survivor Series, and in the wake of the wrestling news, both WWF and WCW attempted to run major pay-per-view shows within 4 days of one another, and that was between, of course, Survivor Series and Battle Bowl. Oh, what a name that is, eh? In each case, this was the lowest buy rate in history of the promotion, although many thought Battle Bowl was the worst major pay-per-view ever. It is almost like it didn't even exist, reports Meltzer. The combined estimate company revenue of both Battle Bowl and Survivor Series would fall about 130,000 to 150,000 short of what Survivor Series itself did last November, and roughly 1 million short of the 1991 Survivor Series. So not too great there. Matt, I know you checked this out just sort of briefly. Again, it had our friend in it again. It was Luger, the Steiners, and Undertaker. Kind of an odd combination there, but he was up against none other than Borga, Yokozuna, and Crush was in there. I mean, what did you think of that whole thing? And it seemed like just something when Survivor Series was just about putting random people together. It kind of come across like that to me at this point. What was your take on that for Lex Luger at that point? And how did you see Lex Luger in this match, Matt, as a sort of a fan favourite? Do you think he was there? Was he getting the cheers?
This was definitely when, for me, Survivor Series started going downhill. It really lost the focus of what it was trying to accomplish originally. And like you said, they were just throwing random people together. It was like they had to have traditional Survivor Series matches, but no real reason behind why they were having them, other than like people might have some mutual enemies involved. But this was just like a total like smush of like personalities, and like huge ones at that. If you're going to put people like Luger in there, you're going to put people like Steiners in there, or like Macho Man. I don't really think it's like people that are going to really connect well or gel well in the ring, and it's just, I can't imagine how much planning even went into this, other than just saying, you guys are involved in this, and this is the eliminations that need to take place, just go out there and get on with it. That's what it just kind of felt like to me when I was watching it. I was like, where's the coordination in any of this?
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean there with that one. It definitely wasn't catch as catch can wrestling, was it, in that one? So he's doing that Survivor Series. Not one of his best outings, that's for sure. Fun fact around this time, the biggest news backstage at the show was the idea that this may be Bobby Heenan's final pay-per-view show as a broadcaster. That was going out at the time. The Survivor Series preview show, headlined by Bret Hart and versus Yokozuna for the title, did a 2.9 rating on Sunday, but the edited replay on the Monday did a 2.2. The combined rating of the two shows was the lowest ever for a double showing of across the USA Network specials. So, definitely not good times for WWF business-wise at this point. That's for sure. We go now to the December of 1993, and you've guessed it again. Lex Luger is still running programs with none other than Borga. This time he's actually doing main events, and the reaction is these are one-star matches at best. There just is zero chemistry being reported here between these two guys. I can't believe, Matt, that they left this going for so long on the circuit, knowing what the reaction was like on this. Whether they were just hoping for some absolute magic from somewhere, who knows. So I want to hit us up now. I want to hit 1994, January 3rd. Little fun fact. Hulk Hogan has a single out in England, Matt, and it reached number 29 in the charts. The Thunder in Paradise show also starts shooting on the 10th of the 1st, with both Sting and Terry Funk having reoccurring guest roles. So there we go. It's all working out well for him, isn't it? A hit single, and the TV show, all going well there. And finally, Lex Luger is now teaming up with Tatanka, the man he was in a feud against at King of the Ring last year. And yep, he's against Yokozuna. And guess who else, Matt? still there.
Yeah, Big Burger. Yeah.
Oh yes. Fun facts from this was that back in November, in the Wrestling Observer here, Titan Sports sent out a casting call for both men and women in Hollywood for martial arts performers, with the claim they were looking at producing live shows. Don't know if they're looking for a martial arts gimmick guy to face wrestlers, but it seems like they were trying to copy New Japan's approach on this, reports Meltzer. So it's interesting that they've done a whole casting call to get that rolling. It would have been interesting to see some of the guys turn up for that. Of course, Lex Luger will be announced this coming weekend as being in the Royal Rumble, along with a few other wrestlers. This has been reported in the very early stages of January. Finally, we have some big things going on here. WWF Monday Night Raw taping sees, of course, Lex Luger up against yours truly, none other than Borger again, in that match. But this one is slightly better, reports Melt. So it seems like it's taken them a whole 4 or 5 months to get that one right, Matt, to get that match going. And there's a rumour around this time as well. Rumour had it that there would be a confrontation between wrestlers and Vince McMahon at this week's tapings of Raw. The wrestlers are mad about SummerSlam payoffs, reportedly 5,000 to 10,000, and about the frequent flyer miles being switched starting the first of the year from the wrestlers to the company, all coming just at short time after the wrestlers had been assured the company was having no financial problems. The company does pay for plane tickets, so one would think the company has the right to frequent filler miles, although the wrestlers had considered it one of the perks of working. So interesting that that was sort of all been going down at this point. There was a lot of internal issues here with some of that stuff. Luger did an interview a week later on syndication talking about being allowed in the Royal Rumble, that he was delivered so poorly and came off as so insensitive that I was amazed they even let it run, says Meltzer. This is not a good time for Lex Luger to be babyface here going into this one. Then I want to take us here for the Royal Rumble. What did you make, Matt, of the Royal Rumble 94? This is one of those ones that you always get to see this highlight whenever they have the Royal Rumbles, even in this day and age. That's one of the clips they often show is Lex Luger and Bret Hart with the double win. Of course, the first one up until that point. In a lot of ways, Matt, it kind of was transparent to obviously what was going on in the office at that point about who should be the next guy to take Hogan's boots. How did you see that coming off, Matt, that angle that they did in the Rumble? I mean, it was pretty cool, I guess, at the time. But did you feel that they were as equal as what WWF were portraying them? Because at this point, I've got to admit, even though I am the Bret fan here, it might sound a bit biased, but I kind of saw Bret as a much bigger star than Luger at this point.
Yeah, I mean, of course there was that. I mean, I always saw Bret as the biggest star, but after they put so much effort into Luger, and then hiring this bus and everything, and they just, for me at the time, it was feeling like there was so much emphasis on Luger that, that this was going to be their guy, like they were going to stick to their guns no matter what. So coming into this and seeing the way that things went down at the Rumble, this for me is where I really got the final signs that even the fans weren't buying into it as much as what they should have been. Like when they announce the winners or the winner, and they say, Luger's the winner. There's a pop in the crowd. Yeah, it's quite big. But then after a short amount of time, it turns into a noticeable amount of boos that are coming and ringing out around the arena. And that is when I thought, wait a minute, if Vince is hearing this, if there was any doubt in his mind, that's killed the dream completely.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's fascinating that the reactions would matter then. Nowadays, of course, it's any reaction's great. It's completely different now, isn't it? So if you can get a reaction now, apparently. But the match, Bret Hart, Luger itself in the Royal Rumble, tied one another after 55 minutes almost. The time, Meltzer reports here, the time of the entries was said to be cut from 2 minutes down to 1 minute 30 seconds, although many were in the range of 1 minute 40 seconds, which is interesting because I don't know whether you always used to notice that, Matt, but Royal Rumbles, they always have different times. Like, I always notice that sometimes. Like, if you had a stopwatch, I'm not saying I sit there every year doing it, by the way. Everyone thinks I'm some kind of anorak, kind of Royal Rumble, stopwatch kind of geek. I'm going to sit there with that. I'm sure there is somebody out there, but yeah, they always do differ in times, don't they, Matt? Like with that, I mean, I don't know if it's like a case of it's going to get a bit stale in there, so let's just send them out a bit quicker. But whenever you notice about the times about like Shawn Michaels' record to other people's, it's like it's hard sometimes if you're going to send them out so quick. But I remember in '97 they kind of really took it serious to like 3 minutes, but that seemed like it was going on for eternity. Nowadays, I think they just kind of do it whenever it suits them, to be honest with you. But I don't know if it was noticeable back then, but did you ever notice things like that, Matt, with the whole coming out and how long between each other it was?
Yeah, it never really felt right. Like, I'm sure a lot of times I was just sitting there watching, I was thinking, well, when's the next guy coming out? It's been ages.
Yeah.
And then some other times, they would only come out, do their entrance, like have a little walk around the ring, and then the next guy was out. And I was like, what is going on here? I was thinking the rules in this match need to be clearly defined, because this is kind of all over the place. And in some places, I was thinking they need to actually implement a rule that if you need to get in the ring before the next person comes out, otherwise you should be eliminated. Because the amount of times I've seen people that just take all of that time to get to the ring and don't even get inside it before the next person.
Sure.
But I'll admit, there's been times when I've had my phone out, and it was more like just to keep track of the participants, so I knew how many had been out and how many had been eliminated. But yeah, I had done that timer sometimes, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't accurate at all.
Yeah, no, we were there. No doubt they were changing them. Now, February 7th, 1994, TV tapings. Luger is he's kind of working more tag team matches, if anything. He's teaming up with his old foe Tatanka up against Yokozuna, and thankfully somebody different in Quang. Do you remember Quang?
Oh yeah,
he was there. Him and Luger. It's reported around this time the legal trouble that Titan Sports and owner Vince McMahon are facing was subject of a 2-page story in the 13th of the 2nd New York Daily News. This is picking up more and more steam going into arguably their biggest show. They're trying to build this is the biggest anniversary of WrestleMania. It's going to be a big deal. It's back at Madison Square Garden, but at the same time, there's all this kind of negative news in the outside about the company. So they're having a lot of problems. Meltzer's also reporting either Hulk Hogan is heading to WCW for a series of matches with Ric Flair, or there is a lot of people that are going to wind up with egg on their face. So it seems like the feelers are out there for Mr. Hogan to be going. So it's all really going wrong here for poor old Vince McMahon. At this point, Matt, and the WWF, they're hearing that their biggest star could be going to their sort of rival company, and they got problems going on themselves here. There's a series of house shows now from Toronto where Lex Luger and Randy Savage are teaming up against Yokozuna and Crush, headlining that one. Early March now, and